Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. Let's get straight down to it, shall we? So a few things I want to clear up this week. Please remember to check me out on my Instagram, my YouTube, my Twitter and Facebook, the McGonagall Boxing Podcast and Inside Fighter. So Billy Joe Saunders says he's seriously considering retirement. Now, I'm not surprised in a way. He's frustrated, he's upset, he's angry. Obviously, his close advisor, Daniel Kinahan, has pretty much been kicked out of all negotiations with Eddie Hearn, Sky Sports, the Saudi Arabia deals, MTK, because basically, obviously, at the moment, everything is being closely monitored and observed. And Daniel Kinahan allegedly has very close links to the Irish Mafia. Then obviously they've been, Irish Mafia, there's no secret of being dealing in criminality. And allegedly Daniel Kinahan is a major figure in the Irish Mafia. So of course, that's the last thing boxing or Eddie Hearn or any of the big cats need right now. But I can understand Billy Joe Saunders' frustration, along with Tyson Fury's frustrations. They trust this man implicitly. They know they get the best deals from him. He's done some very good deals in the past, good paydays for them, and they've enjoyed a life of luxury because of it. Now, Billy Joe Saunders quite right. He says, yes, he fights for prestige and world titles, but the most important thing is he's a prize fighter and he fights for money. So he doesn't trust anyone else. He's been around Kinahan for years now. Who's he going to trust with his dealings? And he's ultimately money. So he's in sadness about that. He's also frustrated, isn't he? Because he was due a massive payday in May against Canelo, which would have, secured him for life. And obviously it's a fight I believe he was good enough to win, which would have secured his boxing legacy and, multiple world titles. That obviously got called off due to COVID. And now he's left with, the pickings, isn't he? Because he hasn't had a significant fight really since David Lemieux in 2017. And really going back to a really serious proper world title fight, you're talking 2015 and Andy Lee. So it's a long time since he's been fighting sort of world-class level fighters. I don't count his WBO title eliminator as a big fight or a world-class opponent at all. And that was significant in the payday he received. So it's frustrating. He's in the prime of his life. He's 31, pushing 32. He needs to get cracking now, doesn't he? But it just seems to be one thing after another with Billy Joe Saunders. Cancelled fights, failed drug test, switching promoters, switching trainers. He needs consistency, he needs activity, and he needs stability. Ironically, his fierce rival Eubank Jr. is exactly the same. They're like yo-yos. We know Billy Joe Saunders' performances level vary greatly as well. He nearly lost on that Logan Paul undercard to a fighter nowhere near his level. So he needs the big fights to get up for it. I just hope if he doesn't get the Canelo fight, he can get the big British clash against Callum Smith for the unification. I think Callum Smith has deteriorated. I don't think he's the fighter he was in 2018 who beat George Groves. I think Benavidez beats him. I think Caleb Plant beats him. And I think a fit, motivated, focused, prime Joe Saunders is all kinds of wrong for Callum Smith, who's strong, big, but very rigid, very predictable. And one kind of single-mindedness. He doesn't really adapt from a game plan. So he looked very beatable in his last fight against Ryder. And I fancy Joe Saunders big time as long as he's focused. So that's the fight I'd like to see if he doesn't get Canelo. And I really hope he doesn't follow through on his retirement. Moving on. So obviously the next big talking point is Marcellus Wilder, younger brother of Deontay, was accused Tyson Fury of wearing loaded gloves. Apparently, Deontay went to a doctor post-fight and the doctor saw a big dent in Wilder's head and said that's not done by boxing gloves or punches, that's done by an illegal object. I'd love to know this doctor's name or the written statement for this, but as far as I'm concerned, as Tyson's Fury's come out on social media, it's very far-fetched. And yet again, it's another embarrassing excuse from Team Wilder, who just cannot handle defeat. Now, as Fury quite rightly stated, Team Wilder entered Fury's dressing room moments before the big fight, checked his gloves, checked his wrapping, and they were fine. They were totally happy with it. So it's just another feeble excuse. They used the Wilder outfit at first, and now they're using, apparently, Fury's loaded gloves. Now, one thing Fury is honourable and honest. He'd never cheat to win. Wilder just needs to accept that he got outboxed. He got hit regularly by a 19 stone 7 pound man, far bigger man, and that's what ultimately marked him up. And that, damaged his face. He couldn't defend against it. He had no defence. He had no boxing skills on the level of Tyson Fury. He got badly beaten from the first bell to the last. And unless he stops making these silly excuses, he looks at himself in the cold hard truth and says, I need to get better. I need to do better. I need to improve my boxing skills. The same thing can and will happen, I believe, in the trilogy fight. As long as Fury trains hard and focused, I believe he stops Wilder again. And I wait for another Wilder excuse post-defeat. It's just ridiculous. So don't believe the ridiculously false accusations that are going around Wilder's camp right now. Finally, Fightcamp, Matchroom headquarters in Essex. Yep, Eddie Hearn set it up. Credit to him. Obviously, he's aware he's not going to be paying for any venues anytime soon with no audience. So why waste money? Let's set it up. He's got the space in his back garden. He's got the ring set up. He's got the lighting set up. It's TV studio friendly now. Sky Sports and DAZN are bankrolling it. 4 weeks of fights. Good fights. You've got Sam Egerton and Ted Cheeseman in the first week, which is a cracking domestic fight, but about European level standard. It could go either way. Egerton's a good pressure fighter. He's got some good names. Obviously, retired Malignaggi. Ted Cheeseman, former European champion contender, but obviously lost that fight. Being very unfortunate in his fight against Fitzgerald, who I think he beat. Very good fighter, Cheeseman, and I just think Cheeseman's going to be a little bit younger, fresher, hungrier, and I think he ekes Egerton out on points in a barnstormer. Fantastic fight that in week 1. So they're doing 4 weeks of fight camp. The final week obviously ends with Dillian Whyte Povetkin on pay-per-view as Katie Taylor on the undercard. So fantastic night of fights on the last week of fight camp. Povetkin Whyte would have been fantastic 6-7 years ago, and I think Povetkin would have been all kinds of wrong for Dillian Whyte. At 33, 34, younger, stronger, better chin, more durable, less battle worn, and obviously does what Wilder does with a big left hook, but a better boxer. Olympic pedigree, Olympic gold medalist, quality skills, would have been slick, quick with his movement. Smaller would have got inside Whyte, and I think would have probably knocked Whyte out, actually. I think Whyte's defence would have been wide open. He got floored against Rivas, the small man, remember. However, now's not the time. 40-year-old, nearly 41-year-old Povetkin hasn't looked good against Hunter or Hughie Fury, the light-fisted Hughie Fury in the last 2 fights. I think age and tough battles got through to him now. Obviously, the stoppage loss against Joshua didn't help. I think it'll be still uncomfortable couple of rounds for Whyte, but I think Povetkin will slow down. Whyte in his prime, 31, 32, will eventually catch up with Povetkin and catch him with that devastating left hook that he always does. This kind of level fighters, and I think he'll knock him out around the round 7 mark, which will earn him rightfully his WBC title shot. So I think it'll be a good fight while it lasts, but Whyte will beat an aging Povetkin, who Whyte very much still in his prime, and obviously a bigger man and quicker man these days, which wouldn't have happened 6 or 7 years ago. Let me know what you guys think anyway. So I'm thinking Fight Camp's a great idea with Eddie Hearn. Congratulations for being innovative, creative and dynamic in these tough times. As long, just make sure that you've got, which I'm sure you will do, the medics, the COVID testing to make sure that there's no touch with any corona cases, which obviously will cause backlash, which we don't want for boxing right now. But I think it's a great idea. It gives boxers opportunity Gets it back on TV, major TV. Some good fights and good paydays for the fighters, which is great to see. As for Fury, total nonsense. The accusations being thrown away or around at the moment by Team Wilder, in my view. And finally, Joe Saunders. I don't think he will retire. I hope he doesn't retire. I just think he's frustrated at the moment with Daniel Keenan and the big fights being lost at the moment. And I hope he gets, back on track and gets a big fight soon. Let me know what you guys think anyway on my Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, the McGonigal Boxing Podcast and Inside Fighter. And I'll be back soon, very soon, for the latest and the breaking news. Alright guys, I'm out. Cheers, bye.